Hello. Recently, I have been sharing my child's past experiences in kindergarten and elementary school. I also invited my child's elementary school homeroom teacher to hear about her experiences and wisdom. Today, I want to share a letter that a father who was raising a child with developmental disabilities in elementary school sent me in 2015. He sent me this letter because he wanted to share his experiences with other parents, especially fathers. At that time, he attended our seminar, shared his own experiences, and I also sent the letter he wrote to other parents via email. Recently, as I was talking about my child's elementary school days, I suddenly remembered the letter this father sent me. I thought it would be good to read it again and share it with other parents. And so today I would like to read the letter he sent and share it with everyone. Now I will read his letter to you. I would like to share this letter with fathers who have children with autism. I have a 10-year-old child with autism. If I mention in advance that it is high-functioning autism, perhaps others might take my opinions a bit lightly. However, high-functioning autism, which appears normal to others, creates another barrier that makes it difficult to expect understanding and tolerance from others. The endless high troubles that arise from the combination of high-functioning and autism often lead to misunderstanding, aversion, or exclusion from others. As a father, after learning that my child has autism, I truly set aside everything I once thought was important and devoted myself to improving my child's symptoms. The direction of my efforts was to arm myself with theory. I probably never delved into my college textbooks as diligently as I did with this. Because of my child, I became so desperate that even when faced with autism-related books published in English, I suddenly developed a superpower, as if my IELTS level from when I immigrated had jumped up 3 levels. When it came to raising a child with autism, I decided to rely as much as possible on proven research and solutions rather than my own subjective and arbitrary interpretations. So I studied hard and tried to live believing that following those theories was the best I could do. 3 years passed like that, and the following results came to me. First, many of the common issues associated with high-functioning autism gradually improved. Second, however, during that process, my child suffered psychological trauma caused by his father, and when this combined with his existing autism, it created new problems, almost like a mutated virus. Third, because our parenting styles and approaches to dealing with autism were different, conflicts between my spouse and me became more frequent than before. Fourth, the more this happened, the more I became obsessed with theoretical solutions, but the negative cycle of the phenomena mentioned in points 1 to 3 continued nonetheless. Fifth, my mental exhaustion drained the energy I needed for my main job, which is creative work, and as a result, this immediately led to financial difficulties. Sixth, in the end, after 3 years, I experienced a major setback, and counseling revealed that I had entered the early stages of depression. At that time, my state of mind was as devastated as that of a failed professional. There was, however, one small thing to be thankful for. Paradoxically, among my beliefs, I had a safeguard that made me wary and skeptical of being overly filled with conviction. So even though I was approaching an age where it's easy to become stubborn and overly self-assured, on one particularly frustrating day, I suddenly began to suspect that amid all these rational strategies I had employed so far, something fundamental might be missing. I surrendered and began counseling, and after a month, I realized that the counseling goals, which were initially aimed at my child, had somehow shifted to focus on myself. The counseling became an opportunity that revealed both the hidden aspects of my family history that I was aware of and the personal issues I had not yet recognized. Now I find myself using a significant portion of the counseling sessions originally scheduled for my child. It truly feels like the roles have been reversed in our family counseling, with me appearing to be the patient and my child the guardian. Recently, as I look back on myself, I often feel a great deal of embarrassment, but at the same time, I also feel proud of my decision to surrender completely, to admit that I am hurting, and to seek healing for my wounds. Autism brings hardship and sorrow to a family, at least in my case up until now. I have blamed autism for every misfortune in our family. Whenever something happened, I would almost reflexively point to autism as the culprit. For my child who has high-functioning autism, whenever a problem arose, the number one cause of stress was autism. Number two was my child's innate disposition. Number three was people around us who were ignorant about autism. And number four was my wife, It was like this. On the other hand, I pitied myself, believing that I was an innocent victim, a scapegoat, or sometimes a pitiable figure oscillating between being a noble martyr and a poor soul. But then, when I realized that my child had come to fear their father, and my wife regarded her husband as someone in the early stages of anger management issues, I started to wonder if perhaps I was the one dreaming a wrong dream. If anything, I want to reward myself just for having these doubts at all. An award for excellence in self-reflection. Perhaps, though it's only a tentative conclusion, my mistake was not simply that I tried to fight against autism. In the midst of that fierce struggle, my child got hurt, my spouse got hurt, and above all, I felt my own soul becoming increasingly exhausted and hardened. Never before in my life has wisdom felt as precious and meaningful to me as it does these days. That's because rather than fighting against autism now, I'm in the process of trying to accept this damn tick as a member of our family and learning somehow how to live together with it. It's not just about understanding autism intellectually, but about accepting it with my heart and caring for it. And above all, I think it's also especially important to know how to wisely take a step back from autism at times and to take care of yourself. This piece was prepared especially for fathers. Among them, there may be those who are in situations similar to mine, and there are probably some who have shown such admirable fatherhood that I couldn't even begin to emulate them. And I also think there may be some who are struggling even more than I am. Or perhaps all of us fathers are living out these different roles in turn. We may all look different from one another, but at least in the sense that we are trapped in lives where, after encountering the unexpected and formidable challenge of autism, we suffer from frustration, chronic fatigue, anger, regret, self-blame, resentment, and the temptation to escape, easily getting hurt, and inevitably having those wounds affect our families through our interactions. We are the same. We know that pain better than anyone else. So perhaps what we fathers long for may, in some ways, also resemble one another. I am very cautious, as this might sound presumptuous, but if we address autism within the framework that fathers are for economic activity and mothers are for caregiving, then someone's life truly becomes difficult. In our gatherings, theories about dividing up household chores like cooking and laundry simply don't apply. As a fellow father, I understand that some of you might find this kind of talk a bit uncomfortable. However, I'd like to suggest that you consider it from this perspective. I only recently learned about Hero now, and I have never attended any of their seminars before. Since I'm quite a reclusive person, one of my characteristics is that I hardly know anyone wherever I go. I enjoy the sense of freedom that comes from feeling almost forgotten by the world, so it's been quite a while since I got rid of my cell phone from my life. But the reason I volunteered to write this for Hero and Now, even at a hectic time like this during tax season and staying up past midnight, is actually very simple. It's because I am well aware of the challenges faced by families living with autism, and as a fellow father, I earnestly wish to share the valuable experiences and lessons I have learned. I expect that this seminar will feature many stories that will especially resonate with fathers. One last thing. Please note that if you do not attend and instead receive the seminar content indirectly through your wife, the effectiveness will drop dramatically. Today I will conclude by reading this message and will refrain from adding my own opinions. Thank you for watching until now. See you next time.